Dia Kharja. Hello everyone, you're very welcome. It's time to finish stripping the engine on our NSU Prima. In this video, we will be using these special tools. Most of these are specific to the Lambretta LD150, but are a perfect fit for the NSU Prima D. Let's get started. The crankshaft can only be removed from this side. To do so, we'll need to remove this disc first, and as we will see, this little disc will take us on quite a journey. This cannot be knocked out through the filler hole, as there is an internal casting in the way. I can feel it with my finger. We must remove the drive section to get access. Before we do that though, I'm going to select second gear. And disconnect the lower spring damper. The NSU service manual describes Allen keys as special tools. Socket caps and Allen keys were exotic in 1958, but found in most toolboxes today. We can see the suspension articulation here. Almost all of these socket cap bolts were willing to be removed, but there's always one. This little scamp has wrung out and will not budge. Not taking any chances with this one. Sound bunch of lads. It's important to never lever apart casings. A dead blow hammer separates without doing damage to the mating surfaces. These gears have been continuously submerged in gear oil and are in excellent condition. Lovely square profile on all the teeth. High quality, built to last. We'll come back to this later. This bearing, however, feels rough and needs replacement. There's another job, but let's get back to what we came in here for. No such luck. Heat and oil needed. If we look inside, we can see the pinions at work. But do we ever wonder what the engine sees? The clutch is next. Stop playing with it. Stop playing with it. The clutch plates are kept in place by a retaining ring. To remove the ring, we must first compress the plates. The main shaft can now be removed with finesse. When using a Lambretta LD150 clutch puller on a Prima D, some form of mandrel is required. In this case, an M12 socket cap fits perfectly. I'm unstaking the countersunk screws here and then tightening the screws to break the stake before unscrewing. Revealing the 3-piece bearing. This casting void is provided to knock out the 3-piece bearing. And we can see here where the manufacturer provided this cutout to tap on the bearing outer race. Some locking tabs here. And it's important to note that this is a reverse thread nut to ensure the engine rotation can never unscrew it. It can only be removed by turning clockwise or sunwise, as we would say in the Gaelic world. It's really tight. More padding required here. And some more.
Shite.
Yeah, just use an impact gun on this nut. Before removing the crankshaft, it needs to be rotated to bottom dead center so it fits through the cutout in the crankcase. And we use a brass drift as this is a soft metal and therefore cannot damage the shaft. It's important here to ensure the conrod always remains lined up with the cutout. And a final note on these pinions. They are a mated pair and must not be separated. The shims are not interchangeable either and must remain with their parent pinion. Otherwise, the clearances will be all wrong when we reassemble. Finally, the bearings. These are removed by heating the casing evenly and tapping out either onto a block of wood or using a drift. And there it is. The weirdest, most overcomplicated way of mounting a two-stroke crankshaft. And yet, it is efficient, robust, and reliable. I love NSU. Now we can get back to that drive section. We're looking for 24 roller bearings. There goes 5 of them. As we saw earlier, this is all in excellent condition. All reusable. We can wave goodbye to the gear selector now. To ensure I put everything back as it was, I've marked the rear end of the drive shaft with a cable tie. There's really no end to what we can do with this M12. Continuing the theme of putting everything back together exactly as it was, I'm conscientiously marking some components before disassembly. This oil seal is shredded and is the reason the rear brake shoes were contaminated, which is why this Prima would not stop. I found the remainder of the disassembly quite intuitive. But here's one thing I was not expecting to find. The entire rear pinion housing is filled with grease instead of gear oil. Only gear oil can protect the interface surfaces between two intermeshing cogs, as it is formulated to withstand the extreme pressures between them. Gear oil is the only thing that should be in here. That rumble is the sound of a failed wheel bearing. After cleaning up all the grease, we can see how the 16-tooth pinion has all its teeth worn to sharp points. The absence of protective gear oil has caused excessive wear. This is the cause of the whining sound while driving and random gear deselection noted at the start of this series, which is probably the reason why this was packed full of grease by someone in the first place. The 46-tooth pinion is not as badly worn, but that's because more teeth means it covers less distance when rotating, only doing about 1/3 the amount of work. Therefore, 1/3 the amount of wear. These must be replaced, but are no longer available. There's no point in rebuilding this with worn out components, so it looks like I'm off on a quest for the holy gear. check back next time to see how we get on. Until then, slán go fóill.